Welcome back to Gunners Collective TV. But before we get into it, let's get into this intro. So welcome back, man. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. So a little bit of breaking news, man. CDCR has identified and released a photo and the background and some history into the alleged attacker. And I say alleged with the capital A because everything is alleged until a man is convicted, until he gets his due process, right? It's always going to be alleged with me. That's just the way it is, man. But this is the picture that they're putting out and that CDCR has released, and they're saying stabbed Tory Lanez. Now, there's been a lot of different content going on, a lot of different mixed emotions. People are getting all emotional, and people are trying to pump up riots and division and decisiveness, and there's all kinds of whatever bullshit you could think of. People are putting it out there. They're trying to get people flustered, right? Trying to cause chaos. But I'm going to read to you right here what was put out by CDCR. And again, CDCR, man, you know, they got all the information. And it was only a matter of time before this guy was identified. The public was crying out, man. They wanted to know who did this. Was he Mexican? Was he black? Was he Italian? Was he green? Was he fucking Frodo Baggins? Who the fuck was this guy? Well, I'm going to read to you exactly what it says. The inmate who allegedly stabbed Tory Lanez in prison this week has been identified as Santino Casio, right? And he's already serving life in prison with the possibility of parole, the Post has confirmed. Now, some people get LWOPs, life without the possibility. When you do have a possibility of parole, that means you do have action. You do have get backs. But a lot of people lose hope. When they're doing a long time, they hear life. And in California, for the most part, 99% of the time, life means life. Because if you're really in the mix or you're really on a yard that's a heavy duty yard, like a 4-yard or even a 3-yard, you're putting in work, man. You might be asked to do something, or you might just take it upon yourself to do something. You figure, fuck it, I'm doing all day anyways. Let's get it. But he did still have a possibility of parole. Now, again, he's going to get a new case. He's going to face all day on this case, and he might get an LWOP. He might get another life case. He might get 15, 20 years, depending upon the severity. Of course, it was pretty severe. At least Tory Lanez thinks so, and other people. We're going to see exactly how it works out for him. But anyways, a representative from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, CDCR, told the Post that Casio, age 42, is being investigated for allegedly attacking the rapper Tory Lanez on a housing unit in the California Correctional Institution Tehachapi on Monday, May 12th at approximately 7:20 a.m. Pacific time. So he got off early in the morning, chow time more than likely, or on the way to chow on the tier. I don't know if that's been confirmed yet. Casio's rap sheet is a mile long and dated back to 2004, when he was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole for second-degree murder, first-degree attempted murder, personal use of a dangerous weapon, and inflicting great bodily injury, per the CDCR spokesman, right? On January 3rd, 2008, during his incarceration, Casio was sentenced to an additional 6 years for an assault by a prisoner with a deadly weapon with force likely to cause great bodily injury. So this wasn't his thing, man. This wasn't someone that was new to this, but this was someone that was true to this. He already had attempts on people trying to catch bodies in prison. Now, let me give you the rundown. Just looking at his picture, looking at his tattoos. If you look close at his tattoo, the guy has a pentagram tattooed right here. That to me screams JCAT. That to me right there screams EOP. It screams someone who's got a screw loose and his head not on right. Now, there's a lot of speculation. I seen a video, a well-made video done earlier today by Dubs, as well as Hoodie from the Hood, man. Go tap in with this channel. I'll support his channel tremendously. But he did a good video, and he asked a question a lot of people have been asking. Is Tehachapi Prison all SNY? Are they SNY yards? Or are they 50-50 yards? What are they, man? I've heard everything from 50-50 yards to SNY yards to, there was even someone that said, oh, there's a 3-yard GP there. Look, from everything I've heard, and I've never been to Tehachapi, but I know a lot of people who have. And from everything I've heard, Tehachapi has always been known for a long time, since I'd say about 2012, 2013, as a bad prison to go to. The only thing that was functioning in that facility was the shoe. Everything else was considered bad news. Now, whether you consider a 50-50 yard bad news or you don't, at the end of the day, comparable to general population, it is considered a trash yard. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean people are not there and don't consider themselves trash. I was on a 50-50 yard in Jamestown, and I don't consider myself trash. I don't care what you say. A little red on red never hurt nobody but the other guy, right? But it is what it is. If you're on that yard, everyone else is going to look at you some type of way. Now, whether this was a 50-50 yard or this was a general population yard or a SNY yard, it doesn't matter. The fact remains, this guy allegedly stabbed this other guy. Now, people are making it into a big old thing, a racial issue, or he stabbed him because he was black, or, how can a Mexican dude touch another race? Well, look, it's very simple. On a 50-50 yard or a SNY yard, it's hands-on policies. It's every policy you want it to be, because there is no one dictating the ship. There's nobody fucking being Captain Jack Sparrow. There is no one cruising that ranfla. Every man for himself. It's a jungle sometimes that makes you wonder how you keep from going under. Well, I'm going to tell you how you keep from going under. You stay the fuck up off that yard, or you stay out people's mix and people's business. What I am hearing is that this was a personal issue between two individuals. Yes, they happen to be different ethnicities. Like it matters. Men are men to me, right? Doesn't matter what color your skin is. But there was some type of dispute. I've also heard that people were saying there was alleged extortion going on. I don't know that to be the case, because I seen Compton Rick Rock's video where he said, man, this guy was like getting his Drake on, that this guy was controlling a yard, that this guy was running things. He had all the money on the yard. He was buying all the brothers' canteen and everything, so everybody was looking up to him. And I don't see a 150-pound Canadian dude, non-gang affiliate, doing that, right? I just don't see it. I know when Suge Knight was on the yard in Mule Creek, way back in the days, he was buying everybody TVs for Christmas, all the brothers, right? But I don't see that being the reason every other ethnicity is going to be like, oh, he's controlling this yard. He might have been well respected by the brothers and well respected by other people because of his rap status or whatever. But that's not the way it works, man. We seen a video just a while back with Blueface. He didn't look like he was controlling or running the yard. He looked like he was on the yard functioning. And that's the truth, and that's facts, right? It's funny that, people are quick to say, this guy is this and this guy's that because he's a rapper. Man, I know a lot of rappers that got blasted on yards, man, or just went in there and just did their time. Ask Chito Ranas how it was in prison. I'll guarantee he'll tell you he wasn't controlling nothing, but he was just functioning amongst the other guys, just the same thing. The same thing, man. Money Sign Sway went into prison, and what happened to him? He definitely wasn't controlling the yard. So I don't see Tory Lanez controlling the yard. Again, not going against anyone's narrative or anyone's story. I respect it, but I just don't see that as a feasible excuse for anything. What I see is this guy, Santino Casio, being upset or angry for whatever reason. It could have been an argument. It could have been a thing that, he's a J-Cat and he sees this guy and he's like, fuck this guy. This guy's having money on this yard. This guy's having it his way. People are probably all on him, hanging around him and shit because, he's pretty popular, Tory Lanez. And so it could have been a situation where it's like, fuck this dude, I'm going to get off. Now, there are J-Cats on 50-50 yards as well as EOP yards or SNY yards. And these guys are uncontrollable. They're not all there. If they're one day off their medication, it could be all bad. It could go up fast. So it's a situation now where CDCR has released his picture. People are going to judge him by his look. I've already had people saying, oh, man, that's a Southsider, or oh, that's a Northerner. Look, I don't know what his history is or his background. He possibly could be a Southsider or ex-Southsider. That's what he looks like to me. But also at the same time, he looks like someone who has a screw loose. And obviously, man, if you're stabbing people at 7:20 in the morning, man, you're either very, very agitated and upset with what they did. And for all we know, Tory Lanez could have beat his ass, could have punked him, could have took his fucking his Cactus Annex chips, right? Could have took his whole Dunkin' Donut. We don't know. Took his Dunkin' stick. People automatically assume, and there's a lot of people like, oh, he's a victim. Yes, absolutely, Tory Lanez is a victim. But shit in prison doesn't just happen because. 9 times out of 10, it happens because someone fucked up, or someone did the wrong thing, or someone disrespected someone. When it is a black and brown issue, it is a very, very, very heavy duty, big issue. And it doesn't matter what side of the yard you're on. You'll never, hardly ever see anyone of a different ethnicity touch another person of a different ethnicity, because it's just not, it just leads to disaster, to nothing good. Nothing good comes of it. But this is just a perfect example of if they were on the SNY yard, this is the way they rock. This is how they get down. It's not there's no rules and regulations there. Unless you're part of those dropout gangs, then of course you have certain standards you have to carry yourself or adhere to. There's certain people that are going to call cuetes or whatever. But, you know, there's no one saying if this guy is part of a prison gang, a dropout prison gang or anything, he's just been identified as Santino Casio. And from what I'm hearing, man, and this is just what I'm hearing, that I'm like, okay, I could put some credibility to that. Sounds a little bit feasible, man, is that it was a personal dispute. So for all we know, man, like I said, Tory Lanez could have whipped on him, could have beat him in cards, could have beat him in basketball, dunked on him. Anything could have happened that agitated this individual, or he could have been just a simple thing that he didn't like him, didn't like the way people were gathered around him or the way he was balling out on that yard and got off. But as far as him controlling a yard, look at nobody, and I mean nobody controls any prison yard but that man up there in that tower and those that are fucking, you know, who they are. We ain't even gonna speak on them. But as far as just a regular old Joe Schmo, I don't care if you're black, brown, green, yellow, nobody controls a yard. You might walk around that motherfucker with your chest on peacock, but you don't control that. Especially when you're dealing with a whole bunch of different ethnicities. You know, you want to know who controls the yard? Whoever has the knife that day, stabbing you. That's it. And in this case, man, Tory Lanez might have controlled certain things, but he couldn't control that dude because it happened at 7 in the morning. Now, I also wanted to elaborate on that. 7:20 in the morning is when this incident happened. Obviously, chow time. Obviously, unlocked. They released. Probably hit him on the tier, if not ran up in his cell or caught him going down the stairs. Something of that nature. I'm also hearing that they could have been walking out, already leaving the Sally Port, going to chow. Now, the Sally Port is the tunnel from your building that goes out to the yard, right? That's actually, back in my days, it's not necessarily a blind spot, but I've seen incidents happen there because people are crowded. They're trying to walk out to the yard. They're bunched up. You can get off. Boom, boom, boom. And do it, push it. Oh, shit. My dog scared the shit out of me. That motherfucker's barking. Stop. Be good. Anyways, I got a pug that thinks he's a pit bull. That's the way life works nowadays. That's like these youngsters with funny haircuts. They're a bunch of pugs thinking they're pit bulls. Anyways, with that being said, I wanted to throw that out there. Santino Casio is the alleged attacker in the Tory Lanez incident. Will he be charged? Absolutely, man. If they're releasing his photo, if they're pinning it on him, if they're saying he's the one that did it, after doing their investigation, he'll be locked up, separated on the yard, sent to administrative segregation, which is the hole. And he'll probably pick up a DA referral in Kern County. Now, that comes within probably the first 30 days. And once you pick up that DA referral, it's up to the district attorney if they want to, you know, charge you. Now, for the most part, if the district attorney, usually if it's around election time or they're trying to, you know, get one on a notch on their belt, they'll charge you. I've seen some cases where dudes get blasted and they get sent right back to the yard. Facts. But in this case, because it's so high profile and Tory Lanez is known around the world, this guy will probably be charged. And depending upon, you know, the investigation, the incident report, what was seen, what alleged witnesses seen, I guess we'll all find out, right? Anyways, with that being said, I wasn't tripping when I seen the dude's picture. I was looking at him, and I just the look in his eyes and the tattoos and certain things about him, they just screamed JCat to me. And for those of you that don't know what a JCat means, it's someone who's just not mentally correct, not all there, acts on impulse, acts out, and is a terrible adversary. It's someone you definitely don't want to go up against because a JCat, man, it's known in prison. JCats are hard to take down. They got that superhuman strength. They got that dumb strength. And they refuse to lose. So if that was the case, man, Tory Lanez better count his fucking blessings that he's still alive, because obviously that guy went off on him, you know, or whoever did this allegedly. He was hit 14 different times, several times, and went for vitals. So that right there it's a crazy situation. But hey, that's part of being in prison, man. Unfortunately for Tory Lanez, you know, when you're involved in an incident, whether, you know, he was wrongfully convicted, because a lot of people are saying that, or rightfully convicted, either way, you know, it's a different world in prison, huh? It's a definitely different. That's why, rather than glorifying prison, it's up to us that have been there, man, to teach people, to reach one and teach one and tell people, man, these are the types of things that can happen to anyone. Nobody is untouchable. You know, I don't care how much money you have on the yard. People are like, oh, he was balling. He ain't balling now. He ain't balling now. He's in a motherfucking in a hospital bed leaking. You know, money can't protect you or save you. You can't buy protection on the yards. Look, you might be able to buy protection within your own car, but you can't buy protection from other races, other ethnicities. If they want to get you, they're going to got you. That's just it. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I know it's a little bit late for this one, but better late than never, que no? Bang, bang, the gun.